going to be doing my methanol relocation. As you guys know, I have most of my stuff over there. But I bought this and finally got around to installing it. And I'm going to make some straps. I'm going to relocate the pump right under here. And yeah, and then there's another video where I do a little overview of what that's for, which is kind of just rigged there until I get everything else located. So pretty much the first step here is going to be making these straps. Since the trunk floor is not even, I am actually making a little stand here so I can put a strap from here to there. And over here I'm gonna do nutserts, and that way it's all flush and it looks clean. So that way I can come around with carpet and carpet everything out. So before I start getting fancy with all of this, pretty much the plan right now is to drill as few possible holes in this. So I'm going to be mounting the low pressure sender onto these studs right here. I'm going to pretty much just put a rod on it, put a set screw on it, and then hang the low pressure sender on here, and silicone the rest of it so the back, because it's not meant to be submerged, but it'll work. And do a block of plate here in the top. Here's a little scribed piece of metal that I'm using to make the bracket. I actually made a little simple template out of this. Actually, it's kind of do it with one hand. There you go. So this, I'm gonna make the top a little longer. That's gonna go there, kind of like that. So that's the plan. So, brackets made. Nothing special, just a bracket. And already cleaned up where I'm going to be putting it. Kind of covered up everything I can so I don't burn anything. It's time to weld. And that's pretty much it. Not the best quality weld, but that'll do. Now, before you go drilling holes here, make sure that you always check what's underneath. Because, for example, here, I have the tank exactly 2 inches below that. So, I'm going to start the hole, something small, put no pressure on it, just kind of get the hole started, and then I'll use a unibit to finish it off. And that way I cannot puncture my own gas tank. So, I figured that I'd give you guys that warning. On this side, I'm clear, so I can just run the bit all the way through, not an issue, but this one right here, that's an issue. Now I'm ready for the nutsert. So I figured I'd show you how, guys, I'm going to do this. So I started the hole with a 1/4 inch, and if I put this in here, you can hear the gas tank right under there. Actually, I might be able to show you. See, that's the gas tank right there. You don't want to hit it with your drill bit. So for that, I'm using the unibit, and I have about that much before it hits, so that gives me plenty to get it to. That gives me plenty to get it to the 3rd ring, which is where I need to drill. Took the pump off, I have these vibration mounts here, and there you see the part number, and this is pretty much what they look like. And what I want to do is I want to take these off and install these, see if it helps mitigate some of the noise, because this thing does vibrate and make some noise, and these are just kind of wimpy. So yeah, I'm going to take these off, and then I have to make a bracket here, and kind of an L bracket, and somehow figure this out to mount that. So more or less what I'm thinking here is something along these lines, where this goes here, said pump goes here, and adjust it up as far as I need to so I don't see it, but as low as possible, so this is as low or as close to the bottom of the tank as possible. And it looks like this is gonna be it.
just like that.
All right, so now I'm working here on making my little in-tank float sensor. Pretty much here's the concept of what I'm trying to do. I drilled one of these out. They're not vents. I really don't even know what the hell they're for. I try to blow through them, nothing comes out. I try to suck through them, nothing comes in. So I drilled one out, and now I'm putting this piece of nylon tube, like the same one that you would use for the lines running to the front. And I put a skewer inside of it and then heated it up to make it straight. Now the next thing I'm trying to do here is that I gotta make sure that this is compatible, and I'm assuming that I'm going to assume it is because I looked it up and it's a switch made in the UK and it's for chemical use. So I'm gonna go and assume that the wire is. Alright, so here's pretty much my setup. Here's how the switch is gonna be. This is all upside down right now, but pretty much the switch is mounted to this nylon tube, which has a actual metal rod inside and is bent that way. And then what I'm doing here is that I'm soldering these joints and then putting a small bit of shrink tube on that, then using some liquid tape and putting some bigger shrink tube on it. I was looking at the MSDS. Supposedly these are compatible with the methanol, but I'm not sure, so I'll have to keep an eye on that. If it starts swelling, then it's not going to be, and then I'll have to figure out how to insulate this connection. So pretty much this is what the setup is going to look like, and to show you guys how I did mine. Again, these two were not vents. I thought they were, but they're not. There's no in or out of it. So, and pretty much I filled the back of that with RTV just to keep it sealed. Although it was already sealed, it actually helps. It actually helps to stabilize the rod on there. It's still green, but pretty much once it's hanging from the top of the tank, you can see it there. And now I can still adjust here. Just take the zip tie off and take this out of here, even though it's cemented already. I can trim it and make it a little shorter if I need to, but right now it hangs to just about where the lowest level that I feel safe would be, which is about 2 inches above the sump. So I finally decided where I'm drilling the hole, and then I'm waiting for the paint to dry so I can put the rubber grommet on, and now I'm extending the wires here. So got that ready for some solder, and you can see the little shrink wraps right on the cable. And there you go, that's soldered. Now it's time to just slip on the shrink wrap. Well, I gotta wait for this to cool because this is still kind of hot. But yeah. Repeat this, just pretty like that, on every single wire, and shouldn't have any issues with connections. And that is one pretty connection. Like 6 more of those to go. Now the tank, I'm gonna have to drill that out and find either a 1 inch or a 3/4 fitting, whatever that is. And pretty much that'll be the only hole that I have to drill on that. Other than that, I already have the pump mounted. Let me see if you can see that. Yeah, I already have the pump mounted. So pretty much it's coming down to wiring and lines. As luck would have it, this thing leaks, and out of that pile of fittings that I took the time to put together out of the tank, to then by hand screw on and very lightly tighten, it just so happens to leak from the fitting on the tank. The worst part is that this is an old tank, brand new, but old, so yeah, it's not like I can call them, tell them like, hey, your tank leaks, send me another one. So I'll have to figure out how I'm gonna seal that now. So lucky for me, I did not drill out the whole thing. I literally made a perfect hole, which you can actually kind of see there. Smack in the center. So I just RTB'd the plastic to the threads, and now I dug out this little channel around this where I'm going to put more RTV and just pretty much level this out with RTV, put the fitting on while it's still green, and let it cure. Cross my fingers, wait 24 hours, and hope it's not leaking tomorrow. Since I'm right here and the Teflon's all the way over there, I'm just gonna RTV the threads and shove it in there. That is a very shitty looking contraption of fittings and shit on a really expensive, really nice tank. Just in case somebody noticed this, this is a solenoid that prevents siphoning. The reason why I have this in this kit is because I had the remote tank and it's mounted at about the same height as the intake pretty much. So there's always a head pressure in the system, and that can cause siphoning, and this is supposed to prevent it. So far I haven't had any issues with it. Actually, this is the best solenoid that they've sent me, because they have two different styles. So that one I've had since I purchased the kit, and then I had this one over here, which I don't know if you guys saw it on Instagram. I took it apart and pretty much fixed it. Because this one over here, what happens is that the parts on the inside corrode and they stick. But the seals are still good, so I was able to pull them out, clean them up with some emery cloth, and that solenoid is good to go again. While this one still looks brand new on the inside, and it's been on since the day I installed the kit. So I don't know, Snow. Maybe you want to keep these or get these back into your stock instead of those other ones. So tanks mounted, finished. I made a little block off plate for that. I couldn't find one that would match, so I'll just end up leaving the hanger there. Yeah, another 5 pounds of steel, who cares. But I'm gonna fill it up with 1 gallon. I'm gonna fill it up with 1 gallon, check for leaks, and then pretty much all I gotta do is plug, cover the wires, and done. So anyways, to sort of kind of wrap this up, here you can see where I mounted the pump. Here's how I ran my lines. Here is my anti-siphoning solenoid, and pretty much the line goes along the fuel lines all the way to the front. Now this part is going to be for the guys that are not familiar with my car. Here I have the Snow Performance Stage 2 boost cooler, and has different features like the start, for the progressive, and then the maximum setting. When the secondary nozzle comes on, the text color, the graph color, whether you want this on or not. And then on the main screen you have pretty much like a boost gauge, and this tells you where on the progressive ramp the pump is, or like the duty cycle pretty much. It has the prime button and the menu. Here I have my line coming from the back. It splits into 2, secondary stage solenoid, and then I have the 2 lines going into the up pipe coming out of the intercooler into the throttle body.